Hey everybody in Facebook world, it's Ashley Corville with the Complete Mortgage team. I have the beautiful Paige with Rescore. Rescore your life is sort of what we call it, right? And you are my preferred credit repair company that we've been using for a couple of years now. Paige is a friend of mine. We vacation together a couple of times a year. So sometimes with like credit repair, you're like this figment, this like online person, right? So I'm really excited that you came on. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I love and adore you, and I just appreciate our ability to partner with you and help as many people get turned around for home loans as we can.
Yeah. So I think there's like a lot of like unknown information on credit repair. So can you just go through like what is some of the main things that you guys do to help fix or repair credit? What are the things you guys see all the time? What's like your go-to when you're looking at a credit report?
Well, so we always tell people there's nothing that we can't help you with. Different things have different levels of success, right? So one of the things that kind of separates us out, which I know you really like about us, is the fact that we work together with attorneys, and that does give us a lot of our leverage. So a typical credit repair company, they're going to write letters to the credit bureaus, and then they hope that something gets removed because they don't come back in a timely manner or something like that. And there's nothing wrong with what anybody's doing with that. That's fine. But what gives us the leverage up is the fact that we actually send out a power of attorney on our client's behalf, and we're actually negating the law, and if they're reporting with accuracy and if they're validating the debt. So kind of going back to what you just said, well, what are those things that we're looking for? And what can we have success on? So there's going to be typical things are late payments, collections, and charge-offs. So late payments as a rule, unless you can absolutely show that you were not late by showing your bank statements or mortgage statements and stuff like that, those are as a rule difficult to remove.
Okay.
But we have some success. A charge-off is going to be a collection with the original creditor. So like a Capital One or an Ally Financial or Bank of America. And if they have a collection, that's called a charge-off. So the way we do our work is we're asking Capital One, for instance, to validate the debt and to report with accuracy. Well, original creditors most of the time can validate because they're the original creditors. So those make it more challenging, but most of the time, Ashley, they don't report properly.
Right.
So that's why we're able to have success on charge-offs, even though the success is not necessarily as high.
Yeah.
Now, collections is what we're going to be having the highest success with. Especially medical. So when you send us somebody and we see their primarily collections, we already know, great, this is somebody that we're probably going to have a lot of success with, and we kind of can set them up for that information up front.
Sure. So let's pause right there, because medical collections, how does that affect a credit score, right? Sometimes that's all they have is collection items. Or in their collection items, and what we call as lenders like the derogatory portion of their credit report is just medical. How does that impact a person's credit score versus like a collection from a Capital One? What's the difference? Is it about the same? Is there a big difference?
So when it comes to how something affects your credit, it's all based on the date of last activity, not the amount of the debt.
Okay.
So you can have a $0 paid collection that actually can hurt your scores worse than a $10,000 collection. So it's not about the amount, but I will kind of shift that a little bit when you talk about medical, because you probably get this question, and correct me if I'm wrong. Well, I heard, or the internet told me, that medical collections don't keep me from a loan and they don't hurt my scores. So yes, medical collections in themselves, and you'll tell your clients, will not keep you from a home loan.
Correct.
But they will keep your scores down.
Which is the line we use with them, because in my mind, we really haven't talked a lot about like this in detail, which is why I'm so happy we're doing this. But a collection, it goes on your report as a collection, in effort to hurt your score to keep you from doing things, so you address it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
So
so to think that it doesn't affect your credit score, I don't really need an expert to say, of course it affects your credit score, or they wouldn't put it on your credit report. So it does impact your score. You are right. It doesn't impact your ability to get a mortgage, but if it impacts your score, which keeps you from our minimum credit score requirements, then it does impact it. So it is all intertwined together for sure.
Correct. And that's where a lot of people will look at the internet and think, oh, well, you don't have to work on you don't have to do anything with the medical. Well, yes, we do. And then, but the good news about the medical is, let's say they have 10 medical collections and I get off 7 and there's still 3 remaining. Well, who cares? You can still get the loan. Let's get your scores up.
Yes, as long as we can get the score up, correct. And so we have a lot of people that come to us that are working on their credit and they say, I just have to pay off a few collection items. Mm-hmm. And my response is always, hey, let's do an application, and and then I'll advise you, right? And my advice, if it's like a quick, easy fix, because I've been doing this a lot of years, so I do know some tips and tricks because you've taught me that we can do pretty quickly to get the score up in 30 or 60 days. But I have a level of expertise. I would say, like, I'm here to help you get a home loan. I'm not a credit repair specialist. So if it's beyond my scope of expertise, that's where we refer to you guys, right? So they don't even want to do a mortgage application yet because they're working on their credit, typically on their own, or maybe with a credit repair company that's not as credible as you guys are, right? So give them some things that they should be mindful of when they're trying to fix their own credit. We know probably the number one thing is credit card and your limit, right? Mm-hmm. Keeping it below, what's a good number?
Well, so it's kind of like think about that kind of like a grade card. So anytime you have a credit card balance that is 0 to 30% of the limit, that's positive, and it's like an A. It's going to give you points.
Right.
30 to 50% doesn't really hurt or help. It's just kind of, yeah, you have some credit established. That's good.
Yeah.
Over 50% will actually take points away from you.
Right.
And then anything over the limit, I like to say it's an atomic bomb.
Yeah. Because once we hit that, we're in all kinds of trouble.
Well, because what people don't understand is that they don't know you. They don't know, they're not looking at your bank account or all that type of stuff. It's an algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
So if your credit cards are maxed out every month, the algorithm says, red alert, do not give them credit, drop their scores, because we don't want them to have more credit because the risk is higher and then they won't pay us.
Right.
So then they drop their scores. But 3 to 5%, that's kind of the sweet spot.
Okay,
that's
perfect.
The best possible place to be.
And so when they're focusing on their collection items, we talked a little bit about that. If they start paying off their collection items, whether they are traditional collection, like credit cards, installment loans, things like that, or medical, and they pay it off, what are they doing? Are they helping themselves? Are they hurting it? Depends.
Yeah. So, and that's a great question. And that's a huge myth and misconception and lots of misinformation on the web. So normal people with common sense, you would think, well, this is hurting me. If I just pay it, it'll help me.
Yeah.
But it goes against all common sense. And it's really, at the end of the day, Ashley, it's unfair because you want to do the right thing. Like, I want to do the right thing. I want to pay that bill. I was at the doctor. But 9 times out of 10, it'll actually drop your score if you pay that, because the credit bureaus don't recognize numbers when it comes to collections. So no difference, like I was saying, no difference between a $0 paid collection or a $10,000 outstanding collection. They're paying attention to the date of last activity. So if you go and pay a collection off, you're actually re-aging the date of last activity to the day you pay it. Yeah. And then it's going to stay on there another 7 years. So you'll ultimately drop your score. So that's collections. Now I will tell you, and any of your clients, if you're getting sued, you have to pay it. No ifs, ands, or buts. It has to be paid. But when you come to us, we'll look at it and we'll advise you if we think it should be something that should be paid or not. Charge-offs can be a little bit of a different situation on 2 fronts. One is because most of the time you can do a loan with an outstanding charge-off. Mm-hmm. So why pay it?
Yeah.
If it's not going to affect the loan and it's not going to help your scores to pay it.
Right.
The benefit, if you will, of paying a charge off, and again, we would advise you, because most of the time we're not going to tell you to pay it, but we don't want them to sell it to a collection company or possibly sue you. So if you have a $300 collection with Capital One or charge off with Capital One, the odds of them suing you are slim and none. Now, if it's 15,000, you might want to contact them so they don't sue you because the odds are higher. So that's where that education and the information comes into play.
Yeah. I think it's great, right? Like the internet has done so many things for us, changed our whole world. It's also given a significant amount of misinformation. And they'll just vomit all this stuff at you, and you'll just pick out pieces that sort of work for you in your situation without looking at a whole picture, which is why it's super important to align yourself with experts in what they're doing, which is why I don't give credit repair advice, because that is not what I spend my time educating myself on along the way. So you certainly don't want to go on the internet and find something. And look, they can contact you and get some free advice, right?
Yeah,
that's one of, there's so many great things about you, but it's one of the great things about you guys is that you will give free advice, and sometimes it doesn't make sense for them to work with you. It's just one or two things that they can tweak, do on their own for free. It may take them longer, but money wise, you're gonna give them some advice for them to do it, and then go from there, right?
Right, because we're looking at that whole picture. So like you said, that you might be able to, let's say you send us somebody that has one medical collection and seven credit cards that are all maxed out. Well, that medical collection probably means nothing as long as they pay all their credit cards down, and then they may not have to worry about it. Or we do offer a pay to delete option for a client that may have one or two collections, and that would have to be with a company that we work with. We work with hundreds of companies that'll do a pay to delete. Let's say they have a medical collection, Central States Recovery, for instance, and it's for $50. Okay, bam, let's do a pay to delete. The legal team has a fee. They pay the amount of the debt. Sometimes we can get a deletion letter that we send to you right away. Some companies don't do deletion letters, and that's fine, but we've worked with them long enough. We know, yeah, that company will delete. It's just going to take 30 to 45 days.
Yeah. That was actually my next question, because there's a lot of out there of how to get this completely removed. So some companies will, and you guys have worked with enough to sort of know who will and who won't, and if that's the best option for the client. So I think we sort of summarized paying down credit card debt and not paying collections. Sometimes those two things are work, because paying off the collection is changing the date of activity, which is hurting you. Paying down your credit cards is probably the highest ticket item that will help your credit score.
Yes, the quickest way to get really quick points is paying those cards down. And then, of course, you're going to have people that you send to us that we work with that don't have credit. So then that's another part of that education that you were just mentioning. Maybe we just need to help you, teach you how to build that strong, healthy credit profile, where to go. If you have no credit, these are the best cards. If you have bad credit, you're going to have to get secured credit cards or a credit builder loan. So that's part of where that education comes in as well, and guiding them.
Yeah. And you really do, like I said, have to have a team around you when you are buying a home that have all kinds of people. That's why my mortgage company is the Complete Mortgage Team, because it takes a village sometimes to get it done, right? And if you've got great credit and you're ticking all the boxes, well, then anyone can do a loan for you, or almost anybody, right? But if you've had some challenges, you have challenging income or weird job histories or challenging credit, you need a team of people around you, right? So let's talk a little bit about how you guys are different than a lot of credit repair companies.
Sure, absolutely. Well, we've already kind of alluded to the fact, the education part. You will, the internet people, you'll give them a call, and they're literally just wanting to sign you up for, for the credit repair and whatever that fee looks like. We'll talk a little bit more of that in a moment. But at the end of the day, they're not teaching you how to build that strong, healthy credit profile. They're not educating you. The reason why we take so much pride in it, as you know, Jana and I were both clients first. We've been on the other side of this. We've lived through it. My credit scores when I was a client prior to being in the repair industry was a 498. I probably had a 40-page credit report that was just riddled with collections, and I couldn't even afford bankruptcy. So I was desperate. So that's why we're really passionate about the education part and teaching people. So we also alluded to the fact that we do work with attorneys. So your typical credit repair company does write letters to the credit bureaus over and over and over and over again. Well, what happens is if you do that too much, they'll actually write it off as a frivolous dispute. And so they will literally completely ignore you, and they legally can do that.
Yeah.
So we're very strategic in the way we dispute, different strategies.
Yeah.
And as far as how we charge, this is one of the things that I know gives you a lot of confidence in referring to us, is that we are paid for performance. We do only charge for the items we actually get removed.
Yeah.
We're highly motivated.
Yeah, and I always find that to be a great way, because you are motivated. The other thing that I hear you guys say sometimes, Jana says this a lot, is that when you sign up for a credit repair company that's online and it's like a month by month thing, they don't have any desire to fix your credit, because then you come off of the plan, right? And it lowers their revenue. So they don't have any desire to work with you. They want to keep you on that plan as long as possible, so they could get their $100, $150, $200 sometimes every single month. So is it truly working in your benefit? Are they truly working in for you? Or are they working for their bottom dollar? And those are things you have to do. I only get paid when I close a loan. So I want to work really hard to help you get into a home. That's how I feed my family. That's not the only reason I do it, but that is the money portion of it. And so we all know that when we are working for our dollars, that we're going to work a little bit harder than if I'm going to get paid whether or not you close a loan, or whether or not that credit item comes off your credit report. You have a monetarily assigned unit to that. So you want to do that for them, and it's the right thing, right? And that's just what we do to help. But it's a little bit different than when you're working with someone online who's getting paid the same $12 hour salary, whether you get your credit repaired or not. So it's certainly an added benefit. And I don't think that people really just think about it. The majority of credit repair companies, that's how they work. They're a month by month thing. So they just think that's normal.
Well, think about if you would never take your car in to get fixed, give them a bunch of money and have them give you your car back broken and just be like, okay, that would never happen. It's the same type of concept. You're going to take your car into us, if you will, and if we don't fix it, believe me, we sometimes have clients. Maybe it's somebody that has 2 charge-offs. Again, those are challenging. They come to us and they have 2 charge-offs, and maybe we didn't get them removed. Well, at least they can walk away going, well, I'm not out a bunch of money, and we taught you something. So hopefully we taught you enough that even if we don't get them removed, that you can still go get your loan because you did everything else we told you to do.
Yeah. So two parts to it. It's credit repair and it's education. And I always say it really doesn't matter how much money you make in life. It's how good your credit score is, right? Because there are lots of things that we cannot afford. And I still believe in like living within your means and, not extending yourself to put yourself in a financial pinch. But there are things that we want in life, like our homes or a vehicle, large ticket items that you have to buy on credit. So like credit can get you anything you want if you take care of it. And so that's why it's super important to either work on it, repair it, take care of it. So sometimes we're just young and dumb and we don't know any better, or we end up in bad situations and it gets away from us. So
you're correct. You're correct in that manner, because most of the people that come to us, Ashley, and you can see it when you talk to them, are really great people that had bad life circumstances. They had a death, a job loss, they had family issues, or COVID. They've had issues with that, and so that's what we're seeing is that I can look at somebody's credit report and know that they're 2017, what went on then, and they'll tell you exactly what happened, and you can just see there was an abrupt change. And so they just need a hand up. They don't need a hand out. They need somebody to guide them, because we're not taught these things in school. And so if they can have somebody put them on the path, and like you said, be part of that team, because same thing. I know a lot about loans. I know a lot about real estate. Do you think I'm going to try to give them any guidance and advice in that? No, because that's not my expertise.
Right. Yeah. If they reach out, what is the best way for them to reach out to you?
Well, ideally through you first, because we want to know, they come to you, you pull their credit, you kind of see where they're at.
Yeah.
And then you can do an introductory with us, and, doing it that way. And, I'm going to kind of, something just triggered in my head that I'm going to bring up, because I know this has probably been an issue with you in the past. Let's say you have a client and maybe they were on online service, Rocket Mortgage or whatever, and they got their credit pulled from there. But a realtor introduced them to you and they said, no, you need to talk to Ashley. She's an expert here locally and she's going to really take great care of you. Well, then they're worried that you're going to pull their credit again.
Right.
Because they think that if they have another inquiry, their scores are going to tumble.
Yep.
So it's important for them to have you go ahead and pull it because of our relationship. You're going to be able to guide them and to let them know that they have a 2-week period, a right to shop. And it's only going to count as one inquiry. As many mortgage companies as they want to have pulled in that 2-week period is only going to affect them with that one inquiry, so that they know, okay, Ashley can pull it again and it's not going to be negative.
Yeah, and that's what we do when we get when you're working with an online lender and you don't meet their requirements, and every online lender has different requirements and I don't know all of them, right? If you don't meet the threshold, what do? They send you an automatic email, bye, see you later. They never do anything again. When we do that, we're going to send you a message to say, hey, you don't meet our minimum credit score requirement, which for us is a 580, right? And here are some options, okay? We give them some free advice on what we're seeing, and then your guys' information. And we do leave it up to them. We ask for permission to share their credit report, their information and credit report with you. And lots of clients come back and say, yes, please have someone from Paige's team, let us contact us. So we'll get that ball started, that ball rolling, or they can always do it manually, call you up, all your information's on there to do that. But we will, it's not going to impact your credit. We are going to give you some resources that we have gathered over the year. Paige and Jana have worked with me. I have some steps that you can do right away to kind of fix some things. Or if you're above and beyond self-help or my help, then that's when we kind of, really loop you in to try to help them, because our ultimate goal is to try to get them into a home for sure. So online lenders are great if you have never had any life hit you in the wrong way, but that's not most people, right? You need somebody to help guide you a little bit better. So,
well, plus the benefit of the non-online and having somebody like you're, I hate to say you're going to hold their hand a little bit more, but I mean, they have that personal experience and the personal care opposed to just behind a computer screen.
Absolutely. We definitely, we like to take good care of our clients and provide them a great experience all the way around. And, that's the goal. So I appreciate you, Paige. Thank you so much. If y'all have any questions, any issues, things you want to come up with, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Send me a message through Facebook, or you can text my number. It's right there on the screen. Text me, ask me a question. You want to set a time to figure out how to make this work for you. Let me know, and we will loop Paige in if that's what you need.
We appreciate it. And I always say, no question's a bad question. We are definitely a judgment-free zone.
Yes.
And, we are trying to change people's lives by changing their credit scores.
I love it. All right. Thank y'all so much. I will talk to y'all later.
Appreciate you. Take care.